Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the last Trap Chat Live for Women's History Month. Continuing with, or closing out, I should say, our success series. I am so excited to have one of my all time favorite people. I consider her a mentor, what I call someone who gets me right. She always seems to check in with me when I need to complain, and if she hasn't heard from me in a while, she will reach out, send me a text message like, "Are you okay? Where are you? Who's getting on your nerves today?" So I have with me the incomparable Margaret Spence, the CEO of Douglas and Associates, and the founder of the Inclusion Learning Lab, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. She is an author. Her fourth book is coming up. We're going to talk about that too. She is a well known, well sought after keynote speaker on subjects of HR, diversity, and inclusion. And I've had the pleasure of hosting one of her rooms when she was speaking at a conference, and it was a delight and a pleasure. So I'm grateful and happy to be sharing her with you today. Margaret, please introduce yourself to the folks.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. I feel like I watch you from afar. Like I'm like your social media mentor
You
stalker.
are.
It's
You
okay.
are.
Um, so I'm Margaret Spence, and I've been a consultant for 23 years, and I specialize in doing HR consulting that connects to multiple areas within HR. Now we're really focused around diversity, inclusion, women's leadership development. I've spoken at many of the large conferences, and I've written a few books. But I think for me, one of my what I call superpower passions is empowering women
Mhm.
and helping women find their own voice in the sea of noise and in the sea of organizations that don't always see our value. And even more specifically, talking to diverse women about managing their career, about being really focused about what they're asking for. And so I was so psyched when you asked me to come today to the last one for Women's History Month.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so psyched about that, and really wanting to talk about how we see ourselves in the process.
Mhm.
How do we see ourselves as women, um and focused around where we hitch our ladder, really. I mean,
Ooh,
I think we have to really unpack and talk about that. So my
yes.
purpose and passion is women's leadership.
Okay. Yeah, so we talked about a topic, you and I, when we planned this, I think back in end of January,
February.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
About redefining our possibilities. And I remember we were just having a conversation, and I wrote down what you said, and it clicked. You said, see your possible. The ladder is not your limit. And I thought a lot about that for some time. And I'm like, the ladder is not your limit. So we all think about this climbing the ladder. Go
Mhm.
like we see this as a linear thing, going up or down. Um, what did you like? What do you mean by that when you say the ladder is not your limit?
Yeah. So when you think about a ladder, it's meant to climb, going up or down. When it comes to the career, you actually attach your ladder. There's a
Mm,
difference. With a painter or a carpenter or a person working on a construction site, or even if you're out there working, you're hitching the ladder. When it comes to your career, you're actually hooking that ladder on.
okay.
What I don't think that we ask enough, especially as women and as diverse people, is what am I hitching my ladder to? It's
Ooh.
not just the climb. We often think about the climb and we want to go up the ladder, but we don't think about what am I attaching my ladder to. So I was doing a program last week for an organization, and I asked the question of the leaders, What does it take to be successful here?
Mm.
Right? And have you ever asked somebody what they want to be successful? What do they need to be successful? Oftentimes, when we hitch our ladder to something, we never ask the question, if I hook my ladder up here, can I be successful?
Oh.
Is this organization, is this role truly one that's going to empower me to climb the ladder? Or am I just hooking my ladder up because it's a good place to put it? And so ladders have limits, but it is not our limit. Every ladder
Okay.
has a limit, every one of them. We put it on a building, we put it on the side of an organization, and we don't necessarily recognize that just the mere fact that we attached it is our limit, is a limit.
Okay. So what you're saying is that sometimes we have a tendency to just attach to something and to not be in control of what it is that we want. Do you think that it's women more so do that than others? As a When I say that, I'm asking, are women more inclined to um, let someone else define what success is? And I know you're going to come with the data because you're not an experiential speaker. You are a data driven, empirical, here are the facts type of person. So I'm interested to know what the story is behind that.
Yeah. So historically, women have been told, get an opportunity,
Okay.
get your foot in the door.
Mm,
We as women of color have been told, you need to get your foot in, you need to put your head down, and you need to work really hard. That's in our DNA.
hmm.
What we haven't been told is walk in the door, look up, see where we're going, see what is offered here, and then figure out the lane we want to get into. And then
Mm,
when we get into the lane, figure out if this is a lane that meets our needs, our need for whatever it is that we feel that we need.
okay.
What typically happens, which is why you see less than 1%, 2% of women climbing really high up. By the time you get to the executive level and the C level, the scarcity of women becomes the thing, right? What we don't do very effectively is say to ourselves, I've joined this organization. Are they a nurturer? Do they help me thrive? Are they going to take me from point A to point B? Or am I just here, as I said on a couple weeks ago? Do they only want my skills and not my ambition?
Oh.
Mhm.
Do they only want my skills
And not
and
my
not my
ambition.
ambition? So I think in my experience, a lot of people don't want my ambition, my thug passion. But they definitely want those recruiting skills.
Right.
Yeah, so that's bringing me back to a conversation I had. I was in a situation at the end of my corporate career. So I think this was around like 2015.
Mhm.
And I had a manager, a direct manager, who was extremely just not um they made things very difficult for me. And
Mhm.
I wasn't the only person to complain. I was the only person to complain, um, as they say, um, verbally. Like I put it in writing. Like I went to
Mhm.
HR, had an investigation, and my whole thing was that I loved what I was doing
Mhm.
because I was doing ops and they were letting me do ops.
Right.
Like I was loving my job. But I was hating the person who was making
Mhm.
things a little
Mhm.
difficult for me. The person who signed my performance reviews, who gave me work or decided if I didn't get to do something or go somewhere or have access to these people or these
Mhm.
things that would, you know, in, that would help my career. And I said, you know what? There's other opportunities in this org. There's other opportunities in our department in recruiting. We were a big, we were a global company. And I was like, I just want to get away from them. Like, I'll go do this for a while. And I remember the director called me into the office when I started applying for other jobs in other groups, or, supporting other business units, doing, even if I was going to be doing the same job, or even if I had to go back to doing recruiting, full life cycle
Mhm.
recruiting as my daily job for a while.
Mhm.
And, she blocked my transfers and
Mhm.
said, we haven't had anyone do do the job like you do the job. So we
Mhm.
need you here.
Mhm. Yeah,
You
it's
need me
called talent hoarding.
so you need me miserable, you need
Mhm.
me angry,
Mhm.
you need me irritable, and
Mhm.
you need me in this box where you can control me and where you can make the decisions for me. So I'm glad you said it, because I never made that click, but
Mhm.
I've kept those messages with me. And I think a lot of us keep those messages, and we define our success. We define how well we're doing based on all of those things that are external, or all of those things that people have said to us. So I
Mhm.
want to ask you, because I do think that you have a lot to offer the audience. How is it that you define success?
Mhm. So success for me is the moment. It's not the whole box of everything. I've done
Okay.
a ton of things over my career, but none of that fills me up right this second. So
Mm,
success has to be defined not in how many boxes we've checked, but what is feeding us right this minute? Because our
gotcha.
success is going to change from day to day to week. One of the things that we don't really understand is the language of possibility and the language of potential, which equals the language of success, right? So if we are operating to our full potential, which you tried to do in the role you had,
Hmm.
okay, but you had a manager who, within their own insecurities, didn't know how to groom talent. No idea how to groom talent. So rather than allowing you to move to a new role where you could blossom, they would rather hoard you as a talent. So we do a couple things really well in this world. We
Hmm.
hoard talent and we poach talent. That's
Yes.
what we do really well,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
What we don't do is the work in the middle, which is grooming the talent, helping you see your potential, helping you understand what's possible for you, helping you define your success. We don't do that piece really well. And we as individuals, especially women, we as individuals feel that we should nurture the organization. We should be out there caring for the organization because as women, we have this caring thing about us. So we care for the organization. They continue to pull out of the cup that we have as humans, and the cup is now empty, and we continue to go back to the organization waiting for them to make us successful.
Yeah.
They are not capable of making you successful.
Okay.
They're not capable. We have to define for ourselves clearly what success means. This is the question that I ask every time I do a presentation. What do you want and why don't you have it now? It's not two questions, it's one question. Because if you know what you want, you clearly understand why you don't have it now. You get to build your success track based on that. And you get to define your success based on those two questions,
Okay.
right? If I know what I want, okay, clear, I want to be promoted. The reason I don't have it now is because I have not packaged my skills effectively. I have not marketed my talent. We're going to come back to that,
Okay.
right? Because there is a thing of building a resume, building skills, but there's a whole nother thing that we don't do effectively as women, which is market our skills. See, the men run around in the organization and they tell people what they've done. We've been taught historically as women not to blow our own horn, not to raise our own flag. Let people see us, because if we raise our own hat, then we're, being boisterous. But the language of potential says, if I know my potential, I can sell my potential to anybody. If
Okay.
I know what's possible for me, I can sell my success to somebody else. And if I find that they can't make me successful, then it's time for me to unhitch my ladder from them and find a place where I can hitch my ladder that's going to help me be successful.
Okay. So I want to stay there for just a second because I do think that as you were saying, like when we're building our resumes, and we're talking about, the work that we did, how we're going to market our skills, I think we're able to, I think a lot of times when people leave an organization, which we're seeing a lot of right now, people going and deciding to hitch their ladder someplace else, that they are able to market their skills in a way that gets them, to the next rung or a few rungs up on their ladder. So why is it so difficult for us to market our skills in the organizations where we are already, well, should be a proven entity based on the work that we've done?
Because we don't celebrate our success.
Ooh. Well, sure we do. We get little service awards, right?
No, we don't.
Um, no,
No,
no one tells us good job, or we
no,
don't tell ourselves good job.
we don't sell. Okay, here's an example. An organization gives you a big project.
Hmm.
A woman will come to me for coaching, and I'll say to a woman something that I read in Jack Canfield's book. Okay. He says, go out and write the 100 things you've accomplished in the last 5 years. Go out, write 100 things that you've accomplished in the last 5 years. When you are in a role, you need to have a running list, Excel spreadsheet, tablet, notebook, whatever floats your boat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know the 100 things you've accomplished in that role. You need to know it. The people around you need to know it. The organization needs to know it. And you need to attach the financial value of that to the organization. That's where we don't make the connect. We're waiting for our supervisor to give us the cheesy award that says we're a good employee, or the appreciation tag that we get to go on site and on a website and pull down a tchotchke. None of
Right.
that helps our personal growth. None of that helps our personal growth.
No.
Our personal growth is by saying, in January, you gave me the following tasks. Here is the following task that I was given. Here is what I accomplished. Here is what it brought value to the organization. Here, this is the financial stake that my value brought to the organization. And
Okay.
in your annual review, you bring that sheet of paper to it and you attach that to the review, because your manager is never going to validate the work that you've done. Because if
Mm.
he or she validates the work you've done, then it means that he or she is going to have to give you full credit for your contribution to the work.
Okay.
See, managers take the work of employees,
Oh yeah.
slap their brand and name on it, and forget that you actually did the work. And we turn around and we say, I'm unhappy here. Nobody wants to promote me, but nobody knows what you've done, because you're allowing the gatekeeper of progress and the gatekeeper of potential and the gatekeeper of possibilities from filtering up the hard work that you're doing below them.
Ooh.
This is the problem that we have in managing our careers as
Okay.
women, as Black women, as Hispanic women, as Native women, as Asian women. That is our problem, because we're waiting for them to sell us.
Mm.
They are never going to do it, because if they do that, it says, well, wait, so you got Margaret down the line here doing all your work? I thought you were doing the work. So when they hand you their report to write, or they hand you the project to do, and you get no credit for the project, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Wow. Wow. So, I mean, doesn't it make sense for a manager? I mean, isn't that showing that you're a good leader when when you can say, hey, I got Kirsten, I've got Margaret, let's see who else, I got Candia, who's joined the show. Who else? I've got Michelle. Thank you for your all of your comments who joined the show, who are doing all this exceptional work. Like this is my team. Don't, like, how do you not want to take credit, not take credit for it, but how do you not want to promote that as you're someone who has these fantastic, capable, talented people on your team? Like, why aren't leaders, why aren't managers leading in that way?
Let me rephrase the question for you a
Okay.
little bit. Okay. If you and I are sitting on a team together and we're being led by an amazing leader,
Mhm.
and the leader looks around on the team and he sees Kirsten and he sees Margaret, or she sees Kirsten and she sees Margaret, right?
Okay.
And deep in their soul, they know that you could actually be groomed to become their boss. Think about this. You and I are sitting in the ranks. We are smart, dynamic, powerful, impressive,
Hmm.
work. Everything is great with us. And we are being led by someone who says, boy, if I move either one of these ladies up, they could become my boss. What leader do you think in the planet? Answer that question. The question I ask leaders is this: would you take a team member and empower them enough so that they would become your boss in 12 months?
Why not?
Find me one.
I don't think. Okay, so maybe we should redefine how we see that. Like, I don't see the problem. Like,
Okay.
maybe I like my job. Maybe I don't want to be my boss. Maybe I don't want to be my boss. I'm going to have one anyway. So why not someone who I, you know, quote unquote helped? Why not someone who I know I get along with? Why not someone who I am invested in them and they are invested in me too? Like, why not?
Because human nature says, if I empower you, I get disempowered.
Okay.
That's what human nature says. If I give you the plate,
Okay.
then the plate won't have enough food for me. So, one of the things that we have to do with managers and leaders is help them see what's possible for their
Okay.
team members and understand that finding someone's talent and seeing their potential is the single role of empowerment
Mm.
as a leader. It's up to leaders to find the next leader,
Yeah.
right? It's up to leaders to find the next leader. It's up to leaders not only to find the next leader, but not take it personal when the leader actually leaves their business unit and goes on to something greater. Not a lateral move, because people are always great with lateral moves.
Right.
People are always great with moves that don't threaten their own ladder, right? Their own trajectory. I'm okay with you moving if moving keeps you below me.
Mm.
I'm not okay with you moving if moving empowers you to be over me on a different level, higher
Gotcha.
up than me, because I've been sitting in this trench longer than you. And the mentality is you haven't earned your right to move,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I think so. I do think that is the norm, and I do think that. And you mentioned early on about the language of potential, um, and how we tell our stories, how we're messaging. So what are some of the things what is some of the language that we should be incorporating into our success stories?
Mhm. So, one of the biggest issues that I have when we describe women, we'll say a woman is a high potential woman,
Mm.
right? We'll say the woman is high potential. She's got a lot of possibilities. She's going places. When we talk about a man, we'll say he's leadership ready.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. So, what we end up doing is we give women the 7 or 8 steps to leadership ready. We have to have emotional intelligence. There's not a man out there that's being asked to find emotional intelligence. Half of them don't have emotional intelligence because nobody's asking them to. The only
Right.
people that get asked to find emotional intelligence are women. We get asked to find emotional intelligence. Why do I need emotional intelligence? Because what? I'm an emotional creature, so I'm supposed to find emotional intelligence. I mean, it's great to have that as a subset, but I'd want you to look at me as a woman and say, this woman is leadership ready.
Ah,
The same description that you give to a man, which is he's leadership ready. He has leadership attributes.
gotcha.
Okay. And so what ends up happening, because there is different languaging um, within the hierarchy, and we don't even unpack the languaging. I'll give you the example. A lot of times when I start talking about diversity and inclusion, we'll
Mm-hmm.
hear someone immediately say, I want the best candidate. That
Yeah.
drives me over the edge. Because when I follow it up and I'll say to them, what is the best candidate? Describe that fully for me. Go
Mm-hmm.
from A to Z. When you get to Z, we should have a full candidate built. No one gets past A.
Ooh.
They don't get past A because that's not what they're looking for. It's no different when you say high potential woman. When you say high potential woman, and I say to you, describe high potential woman for me, give me the exact description of a high potential woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you start hearing the feminine description coming out, being assertive in the meeting, okay?
Speaking up for yourself.
Speaking up for yourself, right?
Having a seat at the
Having a
table.
seat at the table, you know, being definitive about what you want, being clear, not crying, because you know that's underneath all of that.
Not crying.
Don't cry, right? Don't cry, because if you cry, we're gonna not see you anymore,
Right. That's true.
right?
Listen,
So,
if I speak over a certain decibel, they don't hear me. They're like,
and for
I don't
and
know
for
what's
Black
wrong.
women, don't be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Black women, don't be aggressive. Don't raise your voice. Don't say it loud. Don't speak out of turn. Wait till someone tells you to speak. See,
Correct.
these are the things that we box people in. But
Okay.
here's the thing, Kirsten, that stops us as women from moving forward. A man can do the biggest faux pas in the planet.
Mm-hmm.
He can create the biggest nightmare, but he'll get a ton of forgiveness for that nightmare. We'll
Mm-hmm.
find ways to contort ourselves to forgive him.
Okay.
If a woman does the same thing, the story leads off. So, for example, you're doing internal recruiting for someone, and we're looking for a manager or we're looking for a director, and you got a slate there. Everybody has a story about your slate, especially if it's a woman. They'll say, well, there was a time when Margaret spoke up in that meeting and she was really loud and she said a bunch of things that she shouldn't have said, and it was out of
Ooh.
place and it was seen as aggressive. But here's the thing, what we don't follow up and say is, so when exactly did that happen? And they'll say, well, that was 5 years ago. Okay, but what has she done since then? What has she done since then? So
Mm.
we tend to hold our standards for women based on one issue, one thing that we've done. And then we stop the progress of women because of that. And when it comes to diverse women, we hold anything a diverse woman does against her for the life of
Absolutely.
her career with the company. So the
Absolutely.
only choice we have is to unhitch the ladder, like we started at the beginning, and take it somewhere else. Because when we do that, our historic story doesn't stay with us.
Okay. So when is it time to unhitch our ladder? How do we know? What are the signs?
So the first sign is you've applied for a new role more
Hmm.
than 3 times and you haven't gotten it
Okay.
without any clear direction on what will make you leadership or advancement ready.
Okay.
It's not enough to deny our advancement as women without an explanation. And the explanation cannot be a shifting sand, meaning if the wind is blowing east or west, that explanation changes.
Changes. Yeah.
Okay. It's time to leave an organization when they don't have a clear development plan, not an advancement plan, but a development plan within your current role.
Okay.
The evaluation is, what are the skills that I currently have? What skills will stretch my experience? And what is this role preparing me for?
Ooh.
Are we in a cul-de-sac or are we on a straight road that leads to somewhere?
Yes.
Because if we are in a cul-de-sac, then we as women need to lift our head up from the desk, look around and recognize that we're in a cul-de-sac, that the position we're in leads to nowhere, and we need to get out of that role before we've
Hmm.
spent 15 years and have a ton of regret about the fact that we've spent 15 years. But here's the biggest takeaway. Know what you want. And if the organization isn't able to give it to you, then get the skills and experience that you need from this organization
Okay.
to prepare you for the role that you need. No one job is going to take you to the end of your life.
No.
None. Okay. No one deserves to sit in a position more than 5 years without some level of advancement. I don't need to promote you, but I need to give you some level of advancement, increased role, increased opportunity, increased everything. Let me give you an example. In the insurance industry, for example, which is one that I work a lot in,
Hmm.
a person will sit as an account executive for 15 years, and the insurance producer will account executive that does all of their work out to see a customer ever. Because if you do that, then you're exposing and stretching the person's abilities.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is we're willing to accept the mediocre part of the role and not the substantive part of the role.
Hmm.
And when we look to go somewhere else, we go, wait, I don't have everything that this person had. LinkedIn is everybody's best friend. We need to start using it. Who was in the role you're in before? Number
Hmm.
one. Who moved out of the role you're in? If you find a role that you want to go into, who's in that role now? What's their experience? What was their longevity? How many moves on the chessboard did they make? Because your
Yes.
career is not checkers. Your career is a strategic chess move.
Woo.
It is not checkers. All of you are playing checkers. The men play chess. They're 60%, according to LinkedIn, 60% qualified for the role when they apply for it. We are 199,000% qualified before we pull out the resume out of the Word document and start typing it.
Yes. True.
Okay. So we have to take a different lens to our own uplifting and our own success. And let me talk to Black women. We are the most educated folks out here. 358% more advanced degrees are issued to Black women, more than any other socio group in the planet. We are more educated.
Yes.
Yet, we are 1% of the leadership team. Let me
Absolutely.
talk to HR because I'm going to do a show on Friday.
Yes.
HR, you cannot expect to recruit diverse people if you have no diversity in your HR ranks. We're going to unpack that on Friday.
Say that again. So, true story. And then I want to get to learning, to the inclusion learning lab, because we are running short of time.
Yes.
But what you just said, HR, and I'm going to talk to the recruiters too.
Mhm,
So we love to celebrate each other. I think that's great and that's all wonderful. Speaking, and
mhm,
now I'm talking directly to recruiters. Every time there's a list of who are the recruiters I should know, who should I be following? Have y'all taken a look at those lists?
mhm,
How many Black people are on that list?
mhm,
How many Black women are on that list?
mhm,
If there are any, how many of them work in tech, in the industries that are most desirable right now? How
right.
many of them have been recruiters for some time? How many people are sticking with it? How many people are new? How many people that you are calling as recruiters aren't actually recruiters? They're HR people who talk about recruiting,
Mhm,
or they're a diversity and inclusion expert who talks about the hiring process. So, like I said, I'm all for the list, but I had a situation today. I was looking and I saw all these names, and yes, I was on there, but I was like, well, where's the rest of us?
mhm,
Because I
mhm,
know, I mean, if you guys have been following me for any time, you know, I can I will amplify the voices of the people who aren't making the list. I will show you where these people are to be found, because don't wait till the 12th hour to come and say, oh, we don't have any, we don't know anyone. That's why our, you know, our speakers board, and our, you know, all of the conferences, all everybody is looks exactly the same.
mhm.
These are the reasons. So I need us HR people, I need us recruiters to take a look at how we're defining who our leaders are, who our thought leaders are, who the who who the, you know, not high potential, but as you said, who has those leadership qualities, and who does not. So yeah, that was my little rant for the day, because that kind of ticked me. Like, you know, whenever we talk, it's always what's about, like, what you mad at today? Why are you always mad? Because
I know.
you indulge my you let me get things off my chest. So anyway,
It's all good.
I want I want to talk about the inclusion learning lab, because you just created a community, and thank you for the invite. I so appreciate you. But can you talk about that? Because
Yes.
I want folks to know what you're doing.
So the loneliest job in the talent space is the diversity of inclusion, an inclusion manager, director, leader. The
Okay.
loneliest job. Because the diversity role was never meant to be an HR role. It is a
Mm,
business role. Diversity is a business role, but we put it in HR because it's happy there. And we end up reporting in to functional and non-functional HR teams.
right.
But 69% of HR of diversity leaders don't make it past 6 months in their role. Not my data. Data's out there, it's been done.
Yep.
So, what I wanted to do was to create a safe space for those of us doing the work of diversity inclusion. Whether you're doing women's leadership development, whether you're recruiting diverse people, whether you are managing diverse teams, a place where we can come into and learn from each other, support each other, and build a community that empowers inclusion.
Okay.
So the Inclusion Learning Lab is there to learn. We've got a community, we have advocacy, but the biggest thing that I'm creating right now is a place where you can tap in, share your expertise with another person, because the diversity role is a siloed, generally solo role,
Yeah.
and you are alone. Even if you're on a big HR team, the expectations are huge and the opportunity for success is limited. We have to create our own success. We can't wait for it to be created. So, this is a safe space community. We are attempting to launch by tomorrow. We're
Okay.
trying to technically connect our site, but we're launching as a free platform initially, and then we will have a paid portion to it as well.
Okay. And can anyone join?
Anyone can join.
Okay.
We're limiting our acceptance of consultants right now because what we're trying to do is create a consultants network that is not
Gotcha.
connected to the actual meat and potatoes of the community, and
Okay.
create a consultant network where minority consultants can be seen, because oftentimes we are competing against the big houses and we
Yes.
can't compete, and the issue is always, well, I don't know where to find any minority consultants. No, not really true. So we're trying to limit it to people who are actually doing the work.
Right.
And then we will create a separate group for people who are consulting in this space as well, because we don't want to
Okay.
leave anybody out of this process. But what I don't want to do is create a place where people come in and try to just sell their services. That's not
Right.
what we're here to do.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
it's 2:40. Good grief.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
so love talking to you. So tell everyone not only where they can find or become part of the Inclusion Learning Lab community.
Yeah.
And you heard what she said. Don't be in there trying to sell your services. Be in there to be part of a community, and that the work will come. Trust me.
Right.
The work will come.
Absolutely.
Trust me. So tell
Yeah.
everyone where they can find you.
Yeah.
Drop your Friday live show,
Yes.
which is a
Yes.
good one because I don't know how you do it. Like I have to have guests, but you can sit there and you can drop gems, bang, 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 all day. I'm in all of that. So tell
Yes.
everyone where to
So
find you.
yeah, so inclusionlearninglab.com is my website.
Okay.
And the community page it's up. It's backslash community. You can pick the community from the homepage. But we'll have the link to join the community live by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And you can join me every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Inclusion Unscripted. That is my live program here on LinkedIn. And this week's topic is if your entire HR department is white, how do you advocate for diversity? That is Friday's topic. So I do a solo LinkedIn Live for now. I'm going to have guests in the summertime, but I have so much stuff to say. So I'm just going to say all my stuff first, and then I'll chime in.
Okay. And that's on your link. I'm putting that in
On
now.
my LinkedIn profile, yes. And I
All
am
right. Good.
so honored to have been here with you, Kirsten, and I love what
No.
you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I love this is always like my opportunity to get to be selfish and get talk to the people that I want to talk to about the stuff that I want y'all to be interested in. So that's why I curate my guest list the way that I do, and it's
Yeah.
always fun. It's always a good time. I so appreciate you and your time. Do wish you safe travels as you
Yes.
go
Thank you.
off to speak
Yes.
on Saturday, Sunday, I think
Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday,
Sunday. Yeah. Sunday.
for a conference. And make sure that I will, at a minimum, catch the replay. But I have got to see what's going to happen on Friday. I'm sure there'll be 18 think pieces that come out of it by the time you get back from South Carolina. But thank you again. Love you. And
Thank you.
can't wait to see all that you're doing. Oh, you forgot to tell them about your fourth book.
Yes. Fourth book, What's Your Possible, comes out at the end of the summer.
Nice. What?
Yes. What's
Your
Your Possible
oh,
is my fourth book. And it comes out the end of the summer. I'm working through it now. And yeah, so that is my gem that I'm dropping.
nice. Got to get that too. Is there pre-orders?
Pre-orders will go live May 1st. We're
That's
working on
1 month
cover
away.
design now and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
get it pre-order. What's your possible?
Yes.
May 1st, pre-orders
Yes.
drop. Thank you
Yeah.
again, Margaret. Thank you
Thank
all
you.
to the participants and Trap Chat live guests and those who are catching the replay. I saw a question asking about the questions to ask. So I will add those to the comments section so that you have them, or maybe do a post, because there was a lot of information in here that was given to you that can help you redefine your possibilities. Thank you all and see you next week.